Get a little tired here. I'm a little tired.
Welcome back to the Flex League, the only fantasy football league whose commissioner takes pumpkin patch photos by himself. I'm Todd Schaefer, and we have some movement to open up the show. Week 6 was big for trades in the Flex League, with 3 major ones going down. Call of Duty owner Dalton Schultz has finally unloaded Tyler Lockett, getting Miles Sanders and Darren Waller in return from the juice boxers for the Seahawks receiver Jacoby Myers. Let's get team owner Jerry on the horn. Take us through the trade, Jerry.
But plain and simple, I need a receiver help. I got sick and tired of Baker Mayfield wetting the bed every week. And then, I wasn't really too confident in PJ Walker over in Carolina.
Big move to let go of RB10 Miles Sanders, though. Jerry, are you all right with that?
Miles Sanders was a very productive back for me, but I needed to try with something to compensate the trade guru.
No mention of tight ends involved either. Maybe Dalton could shed some light on that part of the deal. Dalton?
Yeah, you are good. I need to buff my running back room. Miles Sanders definitely did that for me, and Darren Waller, I think, is an upgrade from Njoku, even though Njoku's been playing solid. We'll see if that continues.
Congratulations to you both. I hope it works out. Moving on, let's talk about an even bigger potential blockbuster with the LWF's owner Julian dumping 2 of his biggest assets to AJ and the Mahomes Depot, seemingly buying low on Alvin Kamara, Chris Olave, and Christian Kirk. Julian, care to explain your thought behind the process there? Do we know where Julian is? We'll get back to him. Let's go to AJ instead. AJ, we heard the reports that Julian was dragging his feet on the deal too. No?
Julian and I worked it out. We had some talks. It took a couple hours. He got back to me. He was lagging a little bit, and I was like, "Are we doing this thing?" And
interesting. Now you got to talk about letting go of one of your first picks. Even though Kamara is short of disappointment early, Julian drafted Stevenson much earlier.
Yeah, it was difficult.
Exactly. What is your thought process there?
But Julian wanted Kamara. He was very high on him, and I obviously needed a receiver.
Anything to get the deal done. Well, I'd say you're set on both fronts. Worth the price, AJ?
Ramondre Stevenson, top 10 running back in fantasy the rest of the year. I would have no doubt. And DK Metcalf being a great addition to the team as well. So, boys, welcome to the Mahomes Depot.
Sounds great, AJ. We'll see what Julian has to say if Terry hasn't gotten to him yet. We do have one more trade to break down, with Michael Corvo going literal with his team name by pissing away Devontae Adams for Amari Cooper and Chris Goodwin from Brady's Bunch. Corvo, did Devontae's outburst influence this trade at all?
I care about my locker room in fantasy football.
Still, pretty complicated to let someone go with so much draft capital attached.
It was a bit emotional. I was upset about some of the football Derek Carr had been playing. He was coming off shoving the cameraman, which everybody on ESPN was like, it's going to be a 1-week suspension.
Still, 2 starters in exchange for Adams. Not the worst haul in the world. All right, moving on. For whatever reason, even though Julian is still missing, he still found time to give us some court-mandated advice on our fantasy football seasons. This was a big pop week for several unlikely names. Let's see if he can break down what to do with them.
Namaste, my children, and welcome once again to Fantasy Therapy, a safe place where I can help you unfuck up your fantasy football season. Let's talk about 3 wide receivers that you can trick your dumb idiot league mates with. Did Juju look like he broke out in week 6? He didn't. He might be the best non-Travis Kelce receiver in Kansas City, but no one receiver is going to replace Tyreek Hill. Save yourself the headache. Brandon Ayuk also looked like he broke out. He didn't. Remember, he's still sharing catches and touches with Deebo Samuel and George Kittle in an offense led by Jimmy Garoppolo. That's run heavy. And finally, Allen Robinson. The iron is hot. Strike it now. Please, for the love of God. If you have these 3, now's the time to get rid of them. If you don't, watch out. Namaste.
Let's actually talk about the pop week for one team in particular. What's going on with the Patriots, boys? The offense was left for dead, and suddenly it's gone full Seahawks. AJ, you got rid of Alvin Kamara for Ramondre Stevenson. You've got to have a stance on what's going on.
But what I am saying is Bill Belichick has transferred over and has now become a run-heavy offense. I mean, Ramondre Stevenson is now one of those guys that he's going to turn to. Damian Harris, I think, is more injury-prone than we'd like to admit this year.
We'll definitely come back to you on that. Jerry, you traded Jacoby Myers. You've got to be high on this offense as well, no?
the thought process behind everything, especially since Allen Robinson flopped as well, that I needed receiver help immediately. And Jacoby Myers has been a top 10 receiver in fantasy this year. So I definitely had to take a shot on that.
Dappy's play that is also potentially, I'm not being blasphemous, but potentially given some rookie year Brady vibes of playing well.
You compared Zappy to Brady, and then in the same answer, you compared the Patriots to the Bears.
There is no way you can compare anyone really to Tom Brady, and for sure not Bailey Zappi. That is a crazy comparison, AJ.
Pandemonium from the owners after AJ's wild takes. Let's all take a breath. I'm sure AJ has more to say on this. AJ?
I'm being hyperbolic. I'm not saying that Bailey Zappi is the next Tom Brady. Let's not be ridiculous. So what I'm saying is that in a similar situation with Bailey Zappi coming in as a backup quarterback or a third string, he has done something similar. He's not going to have a Tom Brady type season.
And what about Ramondre? He is an RB9, so credit to you.
Did want to ask, were we going to recap?
Look, AJ would have lost his matchup 30 points. I lost by 5. You made a good trade. I will say. Good trade. It worked out for you this week. Stevenson will be an RB2, RB3 flex moving forward.
All right, let's all of that soak in, boys. Let's take a breather while we talk about the Wheel of Punishment. 5 winners, 5 losers. We're all hoping Julian isn't picked. Spin the wheel. It looks like we're getting a notification of an emergency address from the Commissioner Terry. Let's go to him now.
And good evening, owners. Due to the malfeasance from the previous week on behalf of team owner Carl, we'll only be spinning for this week's loser, who will be taking on Carl's punishment. To reiterate, the loser will be attempting to eat 12 donuts in 15 minutes. For each donut left, they will then have to leave one comment on an ex's Instagram post. May God have mercy on your soul. Wait. And Carl, say hey to Quentin for me, will you, buddy?
It looks like we're going to need a new owner for Team Quad Gods, but more on that later. Who's getting screwed over this week?
Please be Jerry. Please be Jerry.
Please be Jerry.
I'm pushing for Kendall, man, this week. We got to give it to the fantasy football dad.
Oh, Tomer.
Okay.
Let's go.
And there you have it, folks. We'll be back with more football and Tomer's punishment in just a second. Right after a quick message from the Mahomes Depot owner, AJ, with some silver linings and some good news in the fantasy football season.
What is going on, fantasy football friends? It's AJ here to give you the best surprises of the 2022 season in both football and fantasy. Let's get to the good news. The Los Angeles Chargers are 4-2 without their top wide receiver. And Justin Herbert, at his worst right now, is a QB7 in fantasy football. You better put that brother in your lineup. The Atlanta Falcons and Marcus Mariota is a legit dual threat quarterback, with Kyle Pitts being a legit tight end option. The 3-3 Falcons are staying sneaky. Do you have those guys in your lineup? You better. And finally, shout out Cyclone Nation. Breece Hall, the RB1 for the New York Jets, is doing his thing, taking on the Packers in an upset win last week and doing his own Lambeau leap as well. Breece Hall is an RB1 and a top 10 fantasy running back moving forward. Tune in every week for more of the good news, baby.
And just like that, we're back to the bad stuff. The Cardinals are one of the NFL's biggest disappointments this year, and that goes for fantasy too. Now that Hollywood Brown is down, do we feel anything for Robbie Anderson at all?
It's like, you got to be desperate to really
Dante stretching over there.
Well, speaking of which, Corvo, you went in on DeAndre Hopkins. You've got to be pretty excited for week 7.
I have very high expectations for him. First of all, he's coming off not an injury, so he should be, health-wise okay. And I just think Kyler's super reliant on him and is going to throw him the ball every single time.
Fair enough. So you're not worried about the rust as D-Hop gets back to speed?
Yeah, so I got high hopes for him. He went right into my starting lineup.
You don't think there's going to be speed bumps right away?
Well, that begs the question. Who do the Cardinals blame if this all goes wrong? Not for nothing, but even fantasy-wise, Kyler hasn't felt like a QB6 at all.
Cliff Kingsbury's offensive schemes for the Cardinals is trash. Absolute garbage. You scored 9 points. You scored 9 points with Kyler Murray as your quarterback. That's not on Kyler Murray. All on Kyler Murray is what I would say.
I will say.
Also, he was hired to develop Kyler Murray. That was the only reason he was hired.
Good insight, fellas. Now looping back to you fully, we do have one major matchup to talk about. Is Julian with us now?
Now, Julian isn't here for whatever reason.
He's still missing?
I personally think he's just a little scared to kind of talk about our matchup because last week, Kendall left at the last minute, and I was his matchup last week, and I beat Kendall by 50.
All right, well, Dante, you're a brand new league owner taking over a struggling squad. One win in the books, and now you're facing 5-1 Lisa Wilson's friends. Care to speak on that?
I am more than confident in my team, mostly because you could give me shit, and like I said, I turn it into diamonds. So I don't care if Julian's 5-1, because that's in the past. This is a new week. He's never faced me yet. He's never faced my team. And I can guarantee you one thing is that when you're done facing my team, you're never the same. I wouldn't be surprised if Kendall actually is the next person to leave this league because of how badly I beat him last week.
Well, if you're planning to take him down, you're catching Julian at a good time with Jalen Hurts and Dallas Goedert's bye week. Safe to say, we're all wishing you luck.
What I'm trying to say, Julian, is like I really respect you, and I appreciate the competitiveness and like how like we're gonna have a great week, right? But I'm just telling you right now that my team is gonna fuck your team over, and you're gonna be 5-2. I'm gonna be 4-3. I'm taking the win this week.
All right, well, I guess if there's nothing else.
I just wanted to give a quick shout out to everyone who was wondering where I was. I am so touched that you are so concerned about me, but no. If y'all thought I was running, Kings don't run. They fight. I was too busy celebrating, baby. The Giants are 5-1. We kicked the Ravens' ass just like I kicked Jerry's. And Dante, next. My former partner? You think you're gonna come at the King talking about turning shit to diamonds? You offered your shit for my diamonds, boy. You come at the King, you best not miss, and you missed big. Y'all thought the obnoxious Juju was a character. No. This Odell Beckham jersey, never leaving. I'm winning it all. Welcome to the Flex League, Dante, for real. I'm gonna pick a bad punishment for you next week, boy. Best come correct.
Well, if there was ever any doubt, we definitely know that Dante's got to take this motherfucker down. Let's check in on Tomer's punishment, and we'll see you after week 7.
So as this week's Flex League biggest loser, I gotta eat 12 donuts in 15 minutes or send some comments on Instagram on some X's. I'm not trying to do that, so I'm trying to knock out these donuts real quick. We have the timer right here. Go. Get a little tired here. I'm a little tired. Oh. Never. Permanently fat. 4:20, so less than 11 minutes on the clock left. This is our phone stand. Fuck that. Quitter behavior. You a quitter? 8 minutes left for 3 donuts. Justin Herbert couldn't throw a freaking touchdown. That's finally doing this. Can't do it. I'll comment twice on my ex's post. I'll take it. But I can't do it. Look at 15 minutes. Got one left. Feels disgusting as fuck. Close to 1 comment. That's what I'll do. Flex League, man. Punishments out here are rough.